Yo, brother, it's time for us to start talking the real, man. We've been sugarcoating too much. We've got to start calling everything out for what it is.
Well, hello guys. It's early November 2021 and I'm out on my formal range test on the Commander. So, still loving this wheel. I think it's a true competitor for the Sherman, better in some important ways actually. But today's the range test, and let's see. I've approaching 500 miles. I've been riding this wheel, so I think it's fair to say I know it pretty well at this point. By the way, this is provided to me from eWheels. Thanks again, Jason. I really appreciate your support and allowing me to thoroughly test this wheel, use it. Loving it, like I said before. This is my range test I do on all the wheels. Very consistent. Live in Southern California. The temperatures when I do my range tests are usually in the, I would say, within a 10-degree Fahrenheit range, between the mid-70s and the mid-80s. Today will be mid-70s type day, sunny. I always do the same route, nearly identical. And again, same weather conditions mostly. I avoid very windy days, so forth. So, I think it's the best range test going consistently over time. And let's see. Yeah, so I do lately the more powerful wheels, bigger batteries, so forth. I keep my speed between 20 and 22 miles per hour on average when I'm, when I'm actually moving. Of course, my average over time is much lower because of stops and slowdowns for traffic and all that kind of stuff. But when I'm moving on a path, I'll be between 20, 22, closer to 22, and that's wheel speed, not GPS speed. So that's I've always used the wheel speed. So the GPS speed is actually a little lower. I weigh today. My weigh-in with all my equipment is 189 pounds. When I did the Monster Pro, which I'm going to be comparing this wheel in terms of range to the Monster Pro, I was about 181 thereabouts, and my body weight is actually, and I think I did that test in February, in that time frame. My body weight's, I might weigh 1 to 2 pounds more than that at that point. I think the difference is Monster Pro, I didn't have a backpack on, so that probably added the 7 or so additional pounds. But it's pretty close. So I keep the wheel speed consistent. My route is very consistent. Riding style is consistent. And when I do these tests, as many people pointed out, range tests is so many variables. And one range test for me is different than another person, but what I try and do is provide a consistency for me, and you can kind of use these as relative results. So for instance, I'm comparing this to the Monster Pro. I think the results I get today will be good for that purpose. So if you get 50 miles on the Monster Pro, and let's say I get 100 miles on the Monster Pro and I get 110 on this wheel, and if you get 50 miles on the Monster Pro, then based on my results, you'll probably get 55 miles, a little bit more. So that's my point. It's just relative. Everyone's results will obviously be different. But if you happen to be in my weight category and riding style, I think these would be good numbers for you. Now, I already know one thing I didn't know on the Monster Pro, because I've already ridden this wheel down to 0 battery, tilt back, and I was very happy to learn that the voltage, cutoff voltage, is the same as the Monster Pro. Early on, they wanted to keep it, I think, at 78 volts. Something like the EXN or the EX, which would be horrible. But no, it's 74.5 volts, thereabouts, just like the Monster Pro. About 2 volts lower than the Sherman. So that's just going to be fantastic if you're a guy like me who likes to just push the limits, go very far, take long rides without charging. Ah boy, this is looking really good. Now I actually did a 98-mile mountain ride, and I didn't have voltage calibrated. I had about 25 to 30% battery remaining after 98 miles and climbing 9,000 feet in the mountains. But you always can get 20+% more range when you do mountain rides because of the regen that you get. But anyway, those results were better than the Monster Pro. So the Monster Pro, I got 101 miles on this range test. Same route, again, very similar conditions, except for my little slightly increased body weight or riding weight. 101 miles. So I am optimistic that I will be exceeding that value today. We will see. I should say tomorrow, because on these long range tests, I split them up in 2 days. So I'm doing this ride in the morning. It's a Thursday morning, so I'll do half the ride. It's one giant loop. In the middle loop is roughly where I live, so I do half the loop today, and then tomorrow morning I'll do the southern loop. All right, guys, I will. Next stop will be at the halfway mark, roughly. I think around 30 miles for this part of the ride, and I'll give you the distance and the voltage, and compare it to the Monster Pro. See you in a little bit. Halfway point. Gorgeous here. Let's see what the stats look like. So first thing, my miles. $30.9 miles. And in my Monster Pro, I was at 31 miles. So basically the same. And 93.5 volts. That was the Monster Pro. $95.6. Wow. So 2 more votes. 2 more votes than the Monster Pro. That's fantastic. Yeah, this is going to definitely be a longer range wheel than the Monster Pro, which is what I was hoping, because it's a smaller wheel. It's got about the same battery, weighs less, smaller tire, smaller motor. I think this is 2800 watt motor, maybe 3000. Can't quite remember. Monster Pro is 3500 watt motor. So everything points towards it being a longer range wheel, which excites me. Okay, well, I'll take a little stretch here, have a snack, and head back. When you see me next, I will be close to my home, which will be the midway point of the ride. And then, again, I'll pick up the ride tomorrow, but compare the voltage at the end of today's ride. Hopefully it's still about 2 volts up. See you in a bit. Glad the ride is basically over. Let's see, so stats. Felt like I was fighting a little bit stronger headwind coming back than I would have liked. $56.7 miles. And the Monster $56.6 miles. And in the Monster Pro, I was at 87.7 volts at this point. And here I'm at 90.7. Wow. Now I'm 3 volts up. And boy, that's fantastic. So everything's heading in the right direction to easily beat the 101 mile mark. I'm going to guess I'm going to be closer to 110. Yeah, I'll predict 110. We'll see what it turns out to be tomorrow. Okay, so that's it. Gonna wrap it up for today, and then tomorrow morning I'll do the second half. And I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. It's the next day. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. Kind of a later start. We've been having kind of overcast, foggy mornings. So I wanted to wait till the sun came out. So now I'm on the southern river loop, part of my range test. I'm really optimistic after ending last night with this much higher battery level than what I saw on my Monster Pro test. So I'm heading down towards the ocean now. Seal Beach will be my next stop. Give you an update on the voltage at that point compared to the Monster Pro. That's where I stopped in my Monster Pro test too. So this test is going to be nearly identical to the Monster Pro. Everything, weather conditions, just about perfect. The only change would be my riding weight is about 8 pounds more, I think. All right. See you in a little bit. Down at the beach, Pacific Ocean, Seal Beach. Had a good ride, except it got cloud cover the last few miles. Still hasn't burned off here, so it's it got chilly. So let's see where I'm at. Let's see. First thing is distance. I'm at 72.5 miles. Let's see, 72.5 miles. And I was at 72.5 miles with the Monster Pro, right on schedule. Monster Pro, I had 85.5 votes. And let's see, 87.5. Staying pretty consistent, about 2 votes more than the Monster Pro. Yeah, so still optimistic about my 110-mile prediction. All right, the next stop will be as I get ready to leave the coastline. I'll give you another status update. Same place I stopped with the Monster Pro. See you in a bit. Well, I'm near the Queen Mary. Might be able to see that behind me. And let's get some stats. This will be the last major stop until I get closer to the end. $80.7 miles. And 80.6 miles with the Monster Pro. And I was at 84 votes with the Monster Pro. $86.2 votes. Still pretty much 2 votes ahead. Staying very consistent. So the next stage will be interesting. I'm probably going to get back to you when I'm guessing it's going to be close to 100 miles. I'll check in because I assume I'm not going to be hitting beeps. You know, at my speed of 20 to 22 miles per hour. I'm guessing I won't hit any beeps until I pass 100 miles. So we'll see. But I'll check in at 100 miles for sure, one way or another, or before if things get things go downhill. You know, the battery depletion's certainly not always linear. So sometimes it can, towards the end, your last 20% tends not to go as far as your first 20%. See you in a bit. I'm at 99 miles, getting close to the 100-mile mark, and I'm at 82.5 volts. This wheel quits at 74.5 volts. So I got some miles to burn still. I've not continued to ride at 20, 21, or 20 to 22 miles per hour, and no beeps. It's looking really nice. Really cool. Didn't think I'd have a wheel that could beat the Monster Pro for quite a while. What I particularly like about this versus the Monster Pro, there's no doubt the Monster Pro is definitely a better cruiser in terms of comfort. And you just can't beat a 24-inch tire. Super comfortable to sit on for me. But it's not a general purpose wheel. I mean, it's just because it's so big, bulky. This, which is very much like the Sherman, yet with more torque. So I can go on long rides. I can take this on trails, whereas I'm going to avoid trails on the Monster Pro. And now it looks like, I got a wheel that I can go a lot farther than the Monster Pro. And the Commander's a killer wheel. It's got some issues, but when it comes to riding, which is the ultimate purpose of the wheel, it's got a lot going for it. Now, by the way, the temperature has been running nice. Right now it's in the temperatures in mid-70s Fahrenheit, and temperature is 48 degrees Celsius on the wheel. So even though it's a hot running wheel under stress, if you're not really stressing the wheel out, going on extended incline like you're climbing 5,000 foot mountain, it runs cool enough. So yeah, I don't think probably not gonna make any cooling mods on this wheel. We'll see, but for most riding, I think it rides, it's cool enough. It'd be great if the fan wasn't so loud, but I can't hear, when I'm riding, I can't hear any fans. It's only when you stop. Okay, well, I will talk to you when I start hearing the beeps. Well, I just heard first beeps between 21, 22 miles per hour, and it looks like when the voltage drops about 76.5 volts, somewhere in there, I'm getting some low power beeps. Of course, if I was going faster, I'm sure I'd get beeps before that voltage, but yeah, right now you can hear it. So going to 18 miles an hour and 76.8 volts under load, and I'm at 109 miles. So now I'm gonna just burn off more miles at this pace. Obviously I wouldn't want to go on a long ride having to go 18 miles per hour. But if you're on a really long ride and you just need to go a few miles to get back to your car, and you're limited to these kind of speeds, that's not a hardship at all, really, compared to walking. Okay, well, I will get back to you when I am depleted. It's going to be over 110 miles, that's for sure. Well, the ride is over. You might be able to see that's constant tilt back at this point. 113 miles. I didn't start getting the tilt back to about 111 miles. So 2 miles I had to ride under gentle tilt back, and then it's obviously progressively started getting worse. So 113 miles. And the voltage, well, resting voltage is 75, but under load it'll go about 74. When it gets to about 74.5, that's when it really tilts back hard. And you have to cycle the power on the wheel if you want to continue riding for a little bit. But yeah, wow, 113 miles. And by the way, the display, it's got this little battery indicator with see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I think it's 5 bars. Anyway, unlike the Sherman, the final bar never goes away in the Sherman, but this one, it does go away. And I forget what point it went away, but you probably easily go 10 miles at least once that bar goes away, probably more. Well, super excited to have a wheel that I can go. I mean, again, I was going 100. Well, I guess I said it's something like 109 miles before I started getting any kind of beeps. At between 20 and 22, I could go those speeds. That's just phenomenal. So in the mountains, I think I'm going to try another attempt. And now that I know that I can go 100 easy 110 on the flats, in the mountains you can get, from my experience, at least 20% more range, 20 to 30% more range. Kind of depends on the terrain when you do mountain rides, where you're getting regen. So I could probably do a 120, 25 mile ride on this in the mountains. It's just phenomenal. All right, guys, I hope this was useful. Just to quick reiterate that basically you get about, I would say, 10% more range than the Monster Pro. So if you have a Monster Pro and you know what you can get on that, add 10%. And on the Sherman, if I remember my range test, I died at like 92, 93 miles. So, 20% more range maybe. All right, hope this was useful, and I will see you later.